Come along, rise and shine. Come along and rise and shine. Come on and shine. Come along and ride on a light walker Johnny. Light walker Johnny. Yeah. Come along and ride on a light walker Johnny. Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the Sunday Soul Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lisa Brewer, and today I'm so excited because I have this we have a very special guest in the house with us today. We have Randi Lee, who is a human design and gene key guide. Oh my gosh, Randi, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm so great. Aloha, everyone. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, she is in Hawaii for all of us that are in cold weather locations. She's in Hawaii. Don't hate her, just be her one day. Anyway.
Come visit me.
There you go. On our way. I am just very excited for this because I am interested in everything that is energy, right? And everything that results in our ascension, our growth, our understanding why we're here, right now, in this incarnation, and then how we apply that to actually moving into our purpose and moving into a space of abundance and peace. Can you tell us, how did you come by human design, and maybe explain a little bit of that, and gene keys for those of us who don't know what either one is?
Absolutely. So I love talking about how I got into human design because I really say human design finds you, and it always finds you at the right time. And it found me when I had already started a business and had built a pretty successful business, but wasn't feeling fulfilled. I started my business from a place of deeply just wanting to share a transformation I had gone through in my own life. But as I started to get success in my business, I lost that sight of why I actually started. And it became more about just accumulating more and growing for growth's sake. And I got very caught up in that realm of business. And it came to a point where I really just wasn't feeling like I was being true to myself, but I wasn't sure how to change, what to do, because everywhere I looked, it looked like this is just the way that it was. And everybody was doing business that way. And that was the way to be successful. And so I felt really stuck. Like, how do I make a change? How do I do something different than the norm?
Mhm.
And that's when I found human design, and human design really gave me the permission slip to do things my own way. And it actually showed me that when I step into my uniqueness and own my uniqueness, that's actually how I not only prosper financially, but I feel fulfilled, deeply fulfilled in the work that I do. And that's something that really was missing in my life when I found human design, was the deep soul fulfillment in the work that I was doing.
Wow, that is amazing. When you said that human design gave you the permission slip, I have a saying that we should give permission to our purpose to provide for our person. And so that just lit me up, because that like totally hits home for me, that we don't give ourselves permission to be who we are and who we're meant to be, and to be our most authentic self, and to just live in this amazing purpose that we have, and this guidance, right, of our higher self to what is really of our highest good, not what everybody thinks is of our highest good, right?
Absolutely. And I think human design gives you that roadmap to your highest self, which isn't something outside of you or in the future. It's actually in you right now. It's written into the cells of your DNA, into the imprinting of who you are. And it's just about removing those layers of who you're not, so your true self can really shine through.
Wow, that is That is very amazing. Now, I know you focus on human design. Can you give us a little idea about what are gene keys and how
Yes,
maybe the two
absolutely.
different?
Yeah, so they are in a way connected because the Gene Keys was born out of human design.
Okay.
Richard Rudd, the founder of the Gene Keys, was a longtime student of human design. And basically, human design and the Gene Keys, they both incorporate an ancient wisdom known as the I Ching, the Book of Changes. This is an ancient Chinese oracle book, like a huge book that basically explains in 64 archetypes our human nature. And it was
Mm.
used for generations as an oracle. And what's really interesting is this 64 archetype, the 64 matrix is connected to our DNA. So
Hmm.
each one of these hexagrams, so in the I Ching, we have 64 archetypes,
Mm.
and they're known as hexagrams, 64 hexagrams, and each hexagram has 6 lines. And these 6 lines, these mirror are the codes of our DNA. So each of these hexagrams codes for a specific amino acid in the body. And so in the gene keys, we're looking at the frequency of these codes and how it's being expressed in your life. So in human design, the I Ching is used as the gates that we see in our chart. And so each of the gates that we have, these are like unique energies, unique gifts that we have access to. But the gene keys shows us how they can be expressed at a shadow frequency, a gift frequency, or a city frequency, which is the highest expression. So we can see how through working with these codes, we can literally change the frequency of our DNA and reprogram at a cellular level.
Oh, my mind is blown.
Right?
Just my mind is absolutely blown. This like completely marries for me. I study biochemistry. I have a very scientific mind, right? Like that just makes so much sense to me. And it never made sense to me that why we would separate energy or spirituality from science, because to me it's all the same
It's the
thing,
same. Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. And I feel like this is building a bridge for us to actually see
Yes.
how they are connected.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So this to me explains on a scientific level, like it bolsters, explains, makes it very practical on how we can do what we do esoterically, so to speak, like in a metaphysical, well, I guess it's still metaphysics, but like in a different way. Like we talk about raising our vibration, we talk about transmutation and transformation of energy. Like this to me really feels like the keys to alchemy, which is just like amazing. To like my mind is just going like a million miles a minute. Okay, you've like discovered this and unlocked all these keys, and you're like a guide through human design. um you ran a little information on me. Oh my gosh, I'm a little scared. Okay, if someone comes to you and it's like, Randy, I need your help, right? I want to get to know myself. I want to truly unlock my higher self. Talk to us about how that works. What will we start looking at?
Yeah. So I think first of all, it's important to kind of understand what human design is and the wisdom that it draws on, because
Yes.
human design is really a synthesis of a bunch of ancient and modern systems. So it brings together the systems like astrology, the I Ching, like I was talking about, the Book of Changes, the Kabbalah tree of life, the chakra system. It also brings in biomechanics, genetics, and so it's fusing together all of these different systems to really, I think it's bringing together all of these universal truths, like you said, to make it very practical, to see how we can actually, like, how does this actually apply to my life? And how can I actually use this information in a way that helps me remove those layers of what I'm not and allow my true self to shine through.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that's, that's really what human design does, is it brings this all together and it shows you your unique aura type. So in human design, we have 4 aura types. We have the generator aura, which includes a hybrid type known as the manifesting generator. So we have generators and manifesting generators. Both of us, Lisa and I, are both generators, and generators have this open and enveloping aura. We're literally pulling and attracting things to us because we're just so open. Our aura is drawing it all in and enveloping it. And so because of that, we're here to actually respond to what our aura is drawing into us. So instead of like initiating, that's like a big thing that we have to break as generators, is like trying to initiate. We see what we have to respond to in the world outside of us, what's actually coming into our aura, because this is showing us what's actually ready to be brought into creation, what's ready for us to put our sacral energy towards. So what makes a generator or a manifesting generator a generator type is that we have our sacral center defined. So a defined center means that it's going to be, when you're looking at your human design chart, it's going to be colored in. And this means that you actually generate energy in that center. And the sacral center is the center for work, life force energy. So as a generator or a manifesting generator, you're here to be the action portion of the collective. Like, we're really here to like be the life force of the planet. But a lot of times we're not putting our sacral energy towards things that are actually ready to be brought into creation, or that actually light us up and make us feel satisfied, because we're really designed to feel satisfied through the work that we're doing, and to be lit up and to be excited, to be filled up by the work that we're doing. And if we're not, what we're going to see is our non-self theme of frustration start to show through, where it's like things just, it feels like we're pushing a rock up a hill. Like things just, we're facing a lot of resistance. We're having to, push and force and try to make it happen. And we're not getting the results that we desire. We're not feeling that sense of satisfaction that we're designed to feel. Does that resonate? Does that make sense?
It makes sense, except for that it seems a little I don't know. To me, a generator creates and initiates. So I don't understand the difference. Like for me, it's very easy for me to create help. Well, I guess help to, but it's for me to create businesses, for me to create, um, to do some inspiration for someone to like, hey, you do this, right? This is why I do what I do. The difference between an initiator and a generator, especially
Yeah,
being
so
a
a
triple cardinal
manifester is going to
sign.
be the type, a manifester is going to be the type that actually initiates. And the thing is it's not that we as generators cannot initiate, but
Mm,
we want to make sure that actually what we're bringing into the world is ready to be brought into creation. Because
mm,
otherwise, like I said, we're going to be putting all of that sacral energy towards something that's not actually ready to be brought into creation. It's not
mm.
actually that right timing, because that's what it's all about, is really learning to tap into our divine timing mechanism. Like, how do
Gotcha.
we actually know when the right timing is? And so
Gotcha.
as generators, when we have something that we see, oh, okay, I'm seeing outside that this is needed, that this is ready to be brought into the world. It's not that we have to then, just do what other people are doing. We can be bringing new things into the world, but it needs to be in response. Does that make sense?
Well, that's interesting. We're gonna roll back into that in a little bit. Let's hear. You said
Yeah.
there's
So let me
4.
dive into the manifester.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the manifester aura, these are the types that are really here to initiate. And the manifester aura is closed and repelling. It's very like they are in their own aura. And that's
Mm,
because they are bringing something from within them to the outside. from that closed aura, not from pulling things in and attracting it to themselves. They're closed off and they're actually repelling others away from that. Because they're really here to, like, you know, the manifestor aura, they're here to really be those courageous souls that see into the unknown and bring that and get these new things started, bring them into the world. And then us generators and manifesting generators, we see, oh, okay, this is ready. I can hop on this. I can actually fulfill this and bring this out in my own way.
Okay.
You know, so the manifestor, they're really here to just get things started. They don't have a defined sacral center. So they don't have that sustained energy that we have as a generator or somebody who's a manifesting generator. We have that defined sacral that gives us that ability to see things to completion. Where a manifestor, they just kind of get it started and then move on to the next thing.
That's interesting.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm just applying this to my own life. So I'm just thinking, like, okay, we're gonna go for it. Okay, what's the third one? What's the third type?
Okay, so then the third aura type is going to be a projector. And the projector also does not have a defined sacral. And the projector is here to lead and guide the collective. So their aura is very focused. It's very piercing. And so it actually absorbs others. And so this is like really the power of the projector, is that especially one-on-one in like these types of like connections, they're able to hone in and focus in on another person's aura and really see into them deeply. This is what makes them really powerful leaders, guides, you know, somebody who, like, they're not here to necessarily be like us generators who are doing, who are building, who are creating. They're leading and guiding that creation. So generators and projectors, we actually have a very important relationship with one another, because it's sometimes hard for us generators to see the forest through the trees. You know, the projector has this bird's eye view. They can kind of see the bigger picture. They can see up ahead and they're like, hey, you might want to look out for this. You know, so they're helping lead and guide us while we're doing the building and the creating.
Okay.
And then the last aura type is the reflector. And the reflector, none of their energy centers are defined. So they have all of this openness. So their aura is really sampling. It's sampling all of this energy from all around them. They're taking it all in. So our reflectors, they're actually only 1%, 1 to 2% of the population. And reflectors are here to be our cosmic mirrors. They're really here to reflect the health of the community. So if a reflector is thriving, we know that the community around them is thriving, because they're really reflecting that out into the world.
Okay. But what I'm hearing you say, though, is it sounds like 3 out of the 4 don't have defined sacral centers.
Yeah. So the majority, actually, so the only 2 types, so there's 5 types, but 4 auras. So the only 2 types that have the defined sacral are going to be the generator or the manifesting generator. The other 3, the reflector, the projector, and the manifestor, don't have a defined sacral. So it's really the generators and manifesting generators. We make up 70% of the population. We're the majority of the population, which is why there's so much conditioning in the world to be like a generator, to really be that one that's like the doing, the one who's, you know, the building and creating. But 30% of the population doesn't have that defined sacral. And so they're going to be more prone to burnout, you know, especially when they're trying to operate like a generator.
Do generators, though, do you find, I mean, do generators end up suffering from burnout as well?
Absolutely. And this is really when they're not doing what lights them up. Because again, just because we're here to build and create and work doesn't mean that we're just here to work for work's sake. Right. We're really here to feel satisfied in our doing.
Gotcha.
So not feeling satisfied, oh, because after I got this, I accomplished this and I got this certain outcome. That's a big thing that we really have to break as generators, is having an agenda. Because if we're saying, oh, I'm doing this and I'm hoping to get this result and then I'm going to be satisfied, it may or may not turn out that way. But if you're satisfied in every single thing that you're doing, if you're feeling satisfied and lit up throughout the entire creation process, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. And that's actually what will create those satisfying outcomes, when you're doing and following what is lighting you up, what's pulling you, and letting go of the rest.
Okay, say that again. Like literally, this is tripping me out right now. Okay, so say that again. Okay, if I'm understanding you correctly, it for us, it is not necessarily the destination that satisfies us, it's the journey.
Yes, absolutely. We got to love it and fall in love with, like, literally the whole process, or we're going to feel frustrated when the outcomes don't turn out the way that we want it, you know? But if we can just love what we're doing and then literally say, I don't have to do what doesn't light me up. I can let go of that.
Got you.
And really just follow what truly fills me up, what makes me feel satisfied.
Got you. I understand. So let me ask you this question. Is it possible to have kind of a little bit of multiples of those?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So it's really looking at like the channels that you have in your design, because we within our body graph, that's basically what you'll see when you look at your chart. You're going to see a body graph with like a bunch of different centers and like lines that connect these different centers. The lines that connect the centers to one another are what we call channels. Okay. And the channels will be a type of energy. So for instance, you have a few projected channels and you have quite a few generated channels. So you're also, you have the 1762 channel, which is all about sharing your opinions. Like, this connects your ajna to your throat. So with having a defined ajna and throat, you're able to really speak your mind. You're able to share your opinions and also speak in great detail. Like 62 is also your conscious sun, gate 62, which forms this channel. And 62 is the gate of detail. So you're able to really get into the details and express that and express your opinions very clearly.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I think what happens is a lot of, and you know what, this happens a lot in just any area, any modality that we're using, is that we hear these definitions and we hear these like, okay, this bucket, this bucket, this bucket, and this bucket. And the crazy thing is immediately I'm like, okay, so I'm a Cancer sun. So if we're going to tie this kind of into the astrological aspect of life, I'm a Cancer sun, 7th house, which means I have to have balanced creation, balanced home. I have a stellium in my 7th house as well, right? I have the sun, I have Mercury, I have Mars, and I have Venus in my 7th house. Only Venus is just in that Leo area, right? So, but anyway, that's what I got. My moon, a stellium in there as well. And that's in Aries in my 3rd house. So ideas come so quickly and so passionately. And I've got to like, wow. And that like, my emotions, my passions just really run hot.
Yeah. Well, I wanted really quick. I thought it was interesting that you brought up your Aries moon, because talking about initiation, your moon is in gate 51, which is about initiating. So here, that's where you're like, but I do initiate. You do. So that's where like, and I also like, that's one of the things that like can often happen when first entering in human design, is we can then start to place ourselves in these other boxes. right?
Mm.
Like, oh, well, I'm just this. Like, instead of seeing that there's all of, like you said, well, could I be multiple things? Yeah. There's all of this different energy, and it's seeing, like you were talking about, how does this all come together? And that's really what it's about, is just starting to be the witness. Can we
Mm.
just sit back instead of having to like have our mind try to make sense of it all, and just be like, this is
Yeah.
already playing out in my life, and I can
Yeah.
see it. And then that's when it all starts to come together, because we don't have to do anything. We don't like, there's no strategy to like become what you already are.
That's so
Right?
good.
Like, you can't become something you already are.
That's
It's
so
just
good.
about removing what you're not.
Yes. The other programming.
Yes. We're like really do, like we call it like the deconditioning, doing that
Yes.
deconditioning work to remove those layers. And all you have to do is really become the witness. And then you start to see, okay, this is how it's all moving. And you experiment with it. And I always say, like, if there's something in human design where you're like, that doesn't really resonate with me, leave it, throw it out. Like, take what resonates, take what actually, but, and don't just take what I'm saying to be truth, experiment with it for yourself, really start to play with these energies and see how it works for you.
Right. Right. Now, we've been talking a lot about this is all extremely like this is all very high vibrational. This is, the light side of us, right? This that we're talking about. How does one apply this to dealing with removing that which we no longer need, right? That Eight of Cups energy that no longer serves us, and doing some of the shadow work. How does one utilize human design for that?
Yeah. So in human design, this is where we can look at what we call our non-self themes. And so typically where we see a lot of the conditioning come from in our design is going to be our open or undefined centers. And
Mm,
so because our open, like I was talking about, our defined centers, those are going to be the ones that are colored in. This is
okay.
energy that we're generating, that we have consistently. You can kind of think about it as the sun, right? The sun is always the sun. It's
Mm-hmm.
always shining. It's
Mm-hmm.
always doing its thing. Like, even at
Mm-hmm.
night when we can't see it, it's still there. It's
Mm-hmm.
still doing its thing. It hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Where our undefined centers, that's kind of like the energy of the moon. So we're not necessarily generating our own energy there. We're reflecting and amplifying it from the energy from those around us that have it
Mm.
defined, right? So the
Gotcha.
moon, it's reflecting the light of the sun. So
Yes.
our open centers, they're not only reflecting, but amplifying that energy. And so it's
Mm.
not that we don't experience energy there, but it's not consistent. It doesn't show up the same way,
Mm.
right? It shows up differently. It shows that, like, depending on, who act maybe acted yesterday, why isn't
Mhm.
that here today? And that's where we really start to believe that we're not enough, that we need to change or fix something in order to be enough. And
Mm.
that's really where this conditioning can come from. So I guess I could go through the centers and we could talk about the non-self themes. But, like, for instance, the head center, you have an undefined head center. And one of the non-self themes of the undefined head center is thinking about things that aren't really important to you and worrying about things that don't truly matter. How does that? I'm taking that resonates. Like everybody else's problems.
Listen, when when those that are in real life friends or family listen to this, they're gonna be like, "Yep, that's so her." Right? So her. Okay, let's keep going. Because yes, I have all these things in it and I'll dump. And all of a sudden it'll be like, oh wait, I really don't need to pay attention to that right now, do I? No,
Yeah,
Lisa,
wait, that's
you
actually
don't.
not, yeah, that's not important. So again, what we need to do is just start to become the witness.
Yeah.
When we start to witness, oh, I'm worrying about something that's not mine. We can release it, right? And it's just in bringing that awareness to it, you know?
Yes.
And so then the next center, so we have our head center, then below that is our ajna. And our ajna, the non-self theme there is searching for certainty. So you have that defined. So you actually have a consistent sense of that mental certainty, that mental clarity. But others who have it undefined, they're searching for certainty. They're searching for that, like wanting to be certain mentally. And that's not aligned for them. So they can really be, and they can also be very prone to picking up on the beliefs of others, because our ajna is really where thoughts, beliefs, opinions, all of that is formed.
Yeah.
You know, so they can be picking up on that and kind of feel pressure to form certain opinions, or can, you know, pick up on these beliefs of others that maybe aren't serving for them.
Okay, that's amazing.
Then below that, we have the throat center.
Yeah.
You have a defined throat. I have a totally open throat center. So the throat center is the center for communication and manifestation. It's really where what is internal becomes, you know, externally expressed. So the non-self theme of an open or undefined throat center is searching for attention, doing things to be seen and heard. And that has literally been one of my biggest teachers, is like just doing things because I'm like wanting to be seen and heard. And like, that was when I found that about myself, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Because I mean, my whole life was like, how do I actually get people to see me, to hear me, to recognize me? So that's the non-self theme of the open throat. Then we have
just
go ahead.
One. Can I go back to that just really quick?
Yeah.
So one that has a defined throat center, is it that we're not?
Go ahead.
Is that we're not looking for that, or we're okay either way?
So you have a consistent way of expressing yourself. You're able to express yourself, and through that, you're able to really be seen and recognized a lot easier than somebody with an open or undefined throat.
Gotcha.
So it's like, where we're undefined, it's like we want to be defined there. Like, I want to be like you, where it's like, oh my God, I can just communicate that. And because I have a defined head and mind, but it can't get to my throat. Sometimes I'm like, I have all this up here. Why can't I express it? Like, why isn't it coming through? But that's why on these types of conversations, I'm totally picking up on your throat energy and able to, like, you know, in these conversations, reflect and amplify what needs to be said. And that's the thing about our open centers, is once we can decondition them, they actually become our greatest source of wisdom.
That's amazing.
Because we can see, like, I can literally see everybody's voice. I can see everybody's message in my open throat. I can pick up on it. I can amplify it. I can speak it. But when I'm alone, when I'm trying to do it for myself, it's not there, you know? And sometimes that's where, like, it can be like, oh man, if I could just do that, if I could just have that, then it would, you know, my life would be whatever. But when we can release that need to be there consistently, that's where we gain that wisdom.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's move on. I'm guessing the heart is next.
Yeah. So then below we have our G center. So in the Human Design Center, we have 9 centers instead of 7. So instead of 7 chakras. So Ra Uru Hu, who's the founder of Human Design.
Yes.
He said that in 1781, we had this mutation where we split off from being 7-centered beings to being 9-centered beings. And the heart center is one of those places where that evolution occurred. So the heart center broke off from being the heart center to being, or the heart chakra, to being the G center, and then our heart center. So we have our G center, which is like this diamond right in the center of our being. And this is a really, really powerful center, our G center. You can kind of, people are like, why is it your G center? Like, but it's, you can think about it as like your internal GPS, because your G center is the center for your magnetic monopole. Your magnetic monopole is what is, it's this one-way magnet that's literally drawing into you what you're an energetic match for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pulling this to you. And that center, it's the center for self, the center for identity. So you have that center defined, Lisa. So you have a very consistent sense of who you are and your identity. I have my G center undefined. So a non-self theme of that open or undefined G center is going to be searching for identity, searching for lovability, searching for who I am, searching for that sense of purpose and direction.
God, this is wonderful. Okay.
Right. Okay. So then we have our heart center.
Yes.
You have your heart center undefined. And the heart center is the center for willpower. It's also, we also call it our ego center. So with you having that undefined, you don't have a consistent sense of willpower.
No, I don't. At all. At all. Like, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And like,
and then you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Or like, no, we're going to eat healthy. We're going to eat clean. I'm like, no, I really do want that pizza real bad right now. Yeah. That's happening. Like, oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So this is actually the heart center is, I think, one of the biggest areas for conditioning, whether it's defined or it's undefined. And it's because it also really has to deal with our sense of worthiness, our sense of value, so with having an undefined heart center, it can be, doing things to try to prove your worth and value, trying to prove that you have the willpower, trying to prove that you can do it. Right. Yes. How does that resonate?
Abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely. That's something I've had to work on all my life, is this need to prove myself, this not necessarily feeling worthy. And I've talked about this quite a bit, how growing up, my father raising 4, African-American children, the constant theme was always you had to be twice as good to get half as much, because due to race, situations.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine like that combination with, being African-American, there's already that, that conditioning that you have to be, like you said, twice as good. You have to, and then with that undefined heart, it's like, okay, like it's just putting it into like overdrive almost.
Completely. Overachiever, but still never quite like, and I have a feeling this feeds into this, a little bit of the self-sabotage unconsciously as well, because and again, this is something that I've recently just started talking about, but that I've recognized that has happened in my life, is that continually I get right to this edge, and then all of a sudden I do something that like blows it all up. Now, recently, over the last 18 months to 2 years, we've worked through that, right? So now it's not so much there, but there's still that little twinge of, can I really do that? Really? Am I really going to be able to take that next leap? It's there, it's a little, it's not as much, but I'm aware of it now, which is so critically important, I think, because I can then say, you know what, you're good. You are more than enough. You are. Just be. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. And that's really the thing for the open and undefined heart, is like, you are inherently worthy. You have nothing to prove. So bringing that awareness to like, oh, okay, I'm doing that because I'm trying to prove, rather than I'm doing it because it lights me up and it's something I want to do. Right. Yes. Like, so when we can take that and like go to, okay, how am I designed to show up, and shift that, like that's where the magic occurs.
That's fabulous. I love it.
So then we have our sacral center. And like we've been talking about, the sacral center, that's the work life force energy.
Yep.
But if you have it undefined, so if you're a projector, reflector, or manifestor,
Yep.
The non-self theme is going to be not knowing when enough is enough. Really like that pushing, forcing, just trying to make it happen, because you don't know when enough is enough.
Oh.
So we talk about it like undefined sacrals can often have this sacral hangover, because when they're with the energy of a sacral being, they can reflect and amplify it, and they're just like, and then it's gone, and they're like, oh my God, why am I so just like exhausted? Like I just like mentally, physically, like I just can't.
Yeah.
And a lot of times growing up, there's been the conditioning for these non-sacral beings that they're lazy, like because they don't have that same energy as a sacral being. And so it's really about learning to break that conditioning and know that, a projector and a manifestor, when they actually are working in alignment, they can actually get a lot more done in a shorter period of time than a generator. Because we're more generators, we're kind of like very meticulous and like to like follow the steps and make sure that like, we master it, and we're very meticulous in that way. Where like project, like they can just work really fast. So they don't need to, work 8 hours a day. But we have that conditioning that says, to be successful, this is what it looks like. This is what you need to do. So that can be a big source of conditioning, is the sacral center, because like I said, 70% of the population has that defined. Right. So if you don't have it defined, it's going to be a big area where you're like, I should just be doing it like everybody else. Why can't I do it like everybody else?
Yeah. Definitely. I can see that.
Yeah. So then we have our emotional solar plexus. So in that mutation I was talking about, where we split off from 7 centers to 9 centers, the solar plexus split to being the emotional solar plexus and the splenic center. So the emotional solar plexus, this is our center for emotions. It's also our spiritual awareness center. Okay. So you have that defined, which means you're going to have an emotional wave that's moving through you. And you're here to really become a master of emotions, to feel the wide range of emotions. So somebody who has that undefined, I have it, my emotional solar plexus undefined. I'm reflecting and amplifying those emotions from others around me. Mm-hmm. So it can really feel like I'm on an emotional roller coaster if I'm not aware of that. You know what I mean? And because of that, the non-self theme of the emotional solar plexus is avoiding truth and confrontation. Because it's like, I know going into a confronting situation, I'm going to feel and amplify all those emotions. And I don't want to do it. So I'd rather just avoid it. So this is where like a lot of the people pleasing I see can come in too, where it's like, we're putting other people's needs and emotions ahead of our own, because we're like, I'd just rather, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
Yeah. And then we have the splenic center. And the splenic center is our physical awareness center. This is our center for our immune system. It's really about survival. Our intuition lives here, but also our fears live here. So one of the non-self themes here can be, really kind of like a codependency. It can be not knowing when to let go of things that aren't healthy for you, because it's also about like our physical health. So, not having that consistent sense of like, what is healthy for me? Then the final center at the bottom, that's our root center. And our root center, it's a pressure center. It's this pressure to grow, evolve, ascend, to get things done, to start something new. And so with having that undefined, you can really be picking up and reflecting that pressure around you to get things done, and really be under a lot of stress, and just feeling like your to-do list is never done, because you're just always feeling this pressure to do and get things done. So both of us have that defined. Both of us have that center defined. Yeah. So we have a consistent sense of like, we're on kind of like we don't succumb to that pressure. You know what I mean? Like we feel that pressure, but it's like we're also, it's defined, it's our own energy. So we're not amplifying that from others.
From others. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. So, you also have the 5342 channel, which I also have in my design. And this channel connects your root to your sacral. And it's about cycles. It's about starting things and ending things. So you also have that type of energy to get things started and to bring them to completion. But it's about making sure that you're entering into a new beginning from a place that's in alignment, rather than I'm trying to prove something, or I'm trying to, maybe your open head centers just like picking up on all these ideas and inspiration and feeling like, okay, I got to take action on all of this, instead of really riding your emotional wave, waiting until you're neutral to make a decision and then start something from that place.
That is such the story of my life. One of the constant and consistent things that I say to my good girlie is I get a wild hair, and she and I are both Aries moons. So the two of us don't need to be on the phone at the same time.
It's like, yeah, go do it.
Right. We're just like, we just charge each other up. And, she's a Libra, so she'll weigh it all out. And then I'm the Cancer that's like, that really feels good. And then her air sign is, yeah, that feels, I think that's a great day. Boom, here we go. And all of a sudden, it's just like, either she or I are off on this wild thing. And then we're just like, what did I do that for? I'm not ready. Randi, okay, we're definitely going to do a part 2 here. So what I want to do is I want to give the folks, tell us how we can work with you. And you have a very, very special, we'll call it a program or special opportunity for the folks called Gracious Rebel. So can you tell us a little bit about that? And then we'll talk about how we can work with you as well, independent of that as well.
Absolutely. So I'm launching a brand new program called Gracious Rebel. And Gracious Rebel is really about helping you reclaim your inner sovereignty, and become the inner authority for your life. I feel like this is really what we need in this day and age, is to trust the wisdom and the inner knowing that we have innately within us, rather than giving our power and authority to outside figures. So this is about reclaiming your personal power, using your voice to speak truth, and creating change that's aligned with, aligning with your most supportive environment and seeing through your unique perspective. Because when we're able to be in an environment that's supportive, we're actually able to then see through our unique frame. Each one of us in human design, we learned that each one of us has a unique perspective, a unique way that we're here to see the world. But we need to be in an environment that is supportive in order for us to get there, to see the world through our unique perspective. And so this program is really about helping you step into that personal power, create a supportive environment so that you can see the world through your unique frame and really create the change that only you can.
I love that. How can we be a part of that very, very special event?
Yeah, so this is going to be a 10-week program, and something that I'm doing it with my best friend, Lucy. We create programs together, and it's going to be the two of us bringing our knowledge, wisdom of human design and the gene keys. And Lucy's also a sound healer. She's a voice alchemist. So she's bringing her power of voice, and we're really creating this unique program to help you step into your personal power. So it's going to kick off doors. When you're hearing this, the doors will be open, so you can enroll right now. And something really unique that we're doing is we created 3 different pricing tiers for this program so that we can make it accessible to as many people as possible. So we have the Maiden Rebel, the Mother Rebel, and the Crone Rebel. And these are different pricing tiers, whether you're, just at the beginning of your journey and ready to receive support, or if you're in a place where you can be of support to others.
That is just absolutely amazing. I love that, and we're going to have the links to that website, to the page, and then we'll also have the links. Now, you also have a group as well, a community group, a free community, don't you? Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
I do. So I have a community on Mighty Networks. Mighty Networks is kind of like a social platform that's not like Facebook. So you're not going to get ads or just like, be on there mindlessly scrolling. That's why I decided to create a network that wasn't on like a social media app, because I want you to have a space where you can go in and consciously consume content rather than mindlessly scrolling through content.
Sure.
So this community is called Embodiment by Design, and I actually have, I think it's 4 or 5 free courses inside of that community on human design and the gene keys. I also post in there my weekly newsletter that I send out every week that has exclusive content on human design and the gene keys. And there's just a ton of additional resources all in one place where if you're brand new to human design or the gene keys, you can get started right now, hit the ground running. And I also talk about future offerings in there. If you're interested in getting a reading with me, I also offer that too. And all of the information on the various ways to work with me is also on my website.
Awesome. And we're going to have all those links there in both in the show notes and in the YouTube description and an IG caption. And if you're listening to this on Facebook, it will all be there as well. Well, Randi, I hope that you can come back here for a part 2. Okay.
Yes,
We're
because we just scratched the surface. So there's definitely going to be a part 2.
Yeah, literally. So I'm super excited. So until then, so you guys go to those show notes, go on and click, and then I'm going to ask you to click on to part 2. You don't want to miss the rest of this. You absolutely don't. All right. So, but until next time, peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you so very much. Namaste.
Aloha.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.